Ain't even traveling.
No.
No, that's good.
He's-
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Trying to stay on-
What is she doing?
Who are we missing?
She's down.
Yeah.
Brian, you wanna?
Who else are we missing?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody?
Collect.
There you go, cell phone collection time.
Everything. Just.
Oh, wow.
Like, sorry. Yes.
Nobody else? It feels like it's a smaller room.
Who's trying?
McIntyre?
Yeah.
Special
He's not
guest.
always-
Rich was here last time too.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Rob or Brad, could you close that for us? So I thought we might have had 2 guest speakers today, but it looks like we only have 1 guest speaker. That's going to be Aaron again. Want to kick us off?
Yes.
Morning, everybody. Last time I talked about myself a little bit, like tips and tricks and tools and stuff that you guys can use. This time I want to talk to you about 7-figure publishing and what we're all about. As of 2 years ago, what is today 7-figure publishing and imprint of Agora Financial was the Tech and Trends franchise, which was basically me and Ray. And then our success, our explosion as a franchise kind of took place when Scott Bardelli did the TEK marijuana promo, which was 90-some thousand names from October 16 through mid-late spring last year, which gave us the ability to launch Penny Pot Profits with Ray on the back end, which was like to date, that's like a $10 million promo. And from there, as the imprint model began to take over, we were able to expand from the success that we had with Ray. On like he had Breakthrough Technology Alert that he had been a part of for many years. We sort of like cleaned out some editorial personalities in the group otherwise that weren't all pulling in the same direction, rebuilt the franchise from the ground up around Ray, which coincided with the success of that marijuana promise. And today we have, Greg Gunther starting with the Rude Awakening. We have Jonas Amaraji too. We just hired Mike Bernick, who for many years was the editorial director of Weiss Research. We also have his good friend and my good friend for many years, Tony Sagami, who was also with Weiss for many, many years, ghostwriting with Mike, which is going to give Mike the ability to launch backends really quickly as soon as we get his front end letter off the ground here in the next couple of weeks. I mean, 2 guys in this room. Last time I talked a lot about opportunity. I mean, just since I've been here last, that's become real in a lot of ways. Kyle and Rob wrote a version of the launch promo that we're going to use to launch Mike on the front end and launch our income silo. Lloyd has a BPI promo that's testing right now. Ben has 2 back ends in legal and a front end promo also for infinite income. So when I stand here and I talk about opportunity and what SFP is all about, I'm not bullshitting you guys, because in the month since I've been here, several of you have taken advantage of that and are either testing something or are about to test something. So fundamentally, like that's what I want you to understand about 7-figure publishing and what we're about. If you're honest, you work hard, you keep kicking ideas. Like last time I talked about ABP, always be pitching, right? If you do that and you bring that to us, you bring that to me, I will never be too busy to listen to your ideas because, again, like I said last time, the work that you are doing and the ideas that you are bringing to the table are the, very truly the future of the business. And it's up to you to take that seriously and to continue pitching those ideas. So that said, Friday, you guys got pitch day coming up. This is like where the rubber starts to meet the road. And if you've learned anything about me personally as the publisher of SFP over the last month and a half, it's that I know what it's like. Very intimately, I know what it's like to be a junior level copywriter starting out with ideas bouncing around your head and no one will listen to you or take you seriously. So if nothing else, I want to listen to you and take you seriously. And I hope those of you that are developing ideas independently, I've proven that to you over the last month and a half. That said, to help you get ready for Friday, today at 4 o'clock in the conference room at 8:08, I'm going to hold one of my little like pitch meets. So if anybody wants like an early read on your idea that you're thinking about for Friday, you want to kick ideas, like I can, give you a few things to think about, help you form your idea a little bit better so that you're not lost in the wilderness Friday when you get up here and pitch it. Come to the conference room at 8:08 today at 4 o'clock. I'll be happy to listen to your idea. Cool. Questions about that? Anti-fragility is like the buzzword that led us to the imprint model, which each group is like addressing in their own way. But whether it's me or Matt or Pete or Doug or any imprint, there's never been as much opportunity in this business. This is a similar version to what I said last time. Wherever you end up, however this shakes out for you, this process, there's never been as much opportunity in this business as there is right now. When I started writing copy for Agora Financial in 2006, I think we had 8 products total. And if like gold and silver were not hot and weren't taking promos right now, there was like 1 or 2 other things that were like actually viable to write a promo for. Well, now we have 4 separate imprints of a business that all have at least 8 products. Like, my goodness, the scale of the opportunity. Think about that. So, what else? Any questions about SFP? Me, how I go about things.
I got a question in general.
Yes.
Do you have any tips or advice when someone pitches you, things you look for, how you prefer a person, things like that?
I like folks who come to my desk and be like, oh my God, I was thinking about this idea on the way in today and I just can't wait to tell you about it. You can write it up and send me a half a page. It's probably going to take me a little bit longer to get back to you. But if I have 2 seconds to hear the idea, like just come tell me, because I'm going to give you that immediate read. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Maybe I'm going to send you in a slightly different direction. So just come grab me and talk to me and tell me. I'm generally around the first floor of 808. So separate from that, don't waste my time. Don't waste anyone on my team's time, because then I will shut you out. Because yes, my goal is to help you like push your ideas forward, help you test promos, help you grow your career, and help build the success of this business overall. But if you waste my time, if you waste my team's time, if you fuck around and like are not diligent with something that I'm like, okay, go do this, and then you don't, or it's 6 days until I hear from you, like then I'll give you like the mushroom theory, right? Does everybody know what the mushroom theory is? Mushroom theory of junior copywriters. Feed them shit and keep them in the dark. Right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do mushroom theory of junior copywriters, but I will if you waste my time or you waste my team's time. So that's kind of like the balance that we have to strike. Be honest, be diligent, bring good ideas, work hard, but at the same time, don't bring me shit or then you get the mushroom theory.
Give an idea of wasting time. What's that mean?
Wasting time is you bring me 2 insert ads and I'm like, do X, Y, and Z because we have this promo that's about to test and I want to put these into the rotation and use them. And then I tell you 3 specific things to do to clean them up. And it takes 2 days for you to get back to me, or you send them back and you only do 1 of the 3 things. We might as well have not even had the first conversation. Does that make sense?
As far as like pitching ideas, how can someone waste your time? Just lack of preparation or?
I just heard this one recently. Wasting my time in terms of a pitch is coming to me and pitching something that is literally exactly the idea that another imprint has running right now. Don't do that. Like we have to put a different spin on the idea to make it our own so that our editors can stand behind it in an original way. You can use the same basic idea, but you have to pitch it in a way that's unique to us. Don't come and pitch me the idea for something that Paradigm's doing right now, because I can't do anything with that. It's a waste of time. All right. This weekend, I was in Dallas at Rich Jacobs, who's the editor of the Crypto Alert for us. He hosted a conference, organized and hosted a conference called the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. It was at the DFW Marriott. There were 850 people there, headline speakers, people like Tim Draper, John McAfee, Agora Financial's own James Altucher was also a speaker. I learned some like incredible shit about blockchain, and I'm not a tech guy, so I'm going to get all this wrong. But I was texting Joe, like while the conference was going on, I was texting with Ray, I was texting with the editorial folks on our team. Everything that's happened in the crypto space, this is my full report on crypto and blockchain stuff right now. I'm gonna give you an idea, right? I'm gonna pitch you guys. My God, publishers pitching copywriters, right? Everything that's happened in crypto is prologue. Nothing significant has happened yet. Crypto, Satoshi's white paper came out in 2009, Bitcoin exploded. It was the anarchists, right? The down with the Fed, screw the government people, right? That was the first pot of people. Well, there aren't too many anarchists in the world, so we had to go find another market, right? So who was next? The Jeffrey Tuckers of the world and the libertarians, right? Non-coercive exchange, secure transfer, down with the banks type thing, right? Okay. Well, truth be told, be honest with you, there aren't that many libertarians in the world either. So what do we got to do? We got to go find a third bucket of people. Where are we at right now? Well, now we're at the speculators, which explains the last 8-10 months of cryptocurrency prices, right, on the exchanges. The Netscape moment, right? Netscape is what made the internet a household term. Netscape is what brought the concept of the internet to Kurt and the folks on Main Street. Like it was like DARPA and like guys in Silicon Valley, and no one understood what the internet was or what it could be. And then Netscape came out and made it widely available to everybody. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain have yet to have their Netscape moment. That's still in front of us. There is an app, there is an interface, there is some kind of a tool out there on the near-term horizon that is going to bring blockchain tech to the average consumer, right? Us, like street-level people who just like use technology. We're not deep in it, right? That's close. That's coming. It could be coming in 2018. That's basically what the conference was about. For 3 days, people got up there and they pitched, well, this is what we're doing with blockchain tech. This is how we're going to take it forward to the masses. 90% of the shit that comes out is going to fail, but that Netscape idea is out there for blockchain and it's coming. So when we move on from the speculators, the boom that we've seen, the wealth that's been created, the fortunes that can be made, the promo promises that we can make, that whole thing just opens up again. And it's a whole new cycle of promotions. It's a whole new cycle of ideas. I got tons and tons of research of stuff that Sean McCloskey and I talked to, people that we talked to in Dallas, come talk to us about those ideas because they fit in PRC, they can fit in TEK, they can fit in VPI. I mean, we met with you and the guys from Dig In yesterday. I've talked to the writers that I talk with on a daily basis about this idea already. I mean, this is going to be huge. And it's a completely new way to present the story to the readers. Interesting note about Kurt. Like I said, 850 people at the conference. Half of the people or more at the conference were the Kurt avatar to AT. 60 to 70-year-old guys who like they got a little bit of money, like maybe they bought Bitcoin a couple of months ago. They want to know more. They don't know the first fucking thing about blockchain. They don't know how it works. I heard somebody say from the stage. Here's a good example of a Netscape moment idea, right? I heard somebody say from the stage. Does anybody know what a TCP/IP socket is?
Protocol?
Okay, you do. All right, so there's one person in the room who knows what that is. That's how Netflix works, right? Right now, blockchain tech is at the point where we're talking about TCP/IP sockets. Blockchain tech needs to get to the point where we're talking about Netflix. That's when it explodes, and that's when everybody knows what it is, and that's when everybody's using it. That transition is what's right around the corner, and that's incredible because nothing really significant has happened yet because we're still in the speculator phase. As a publisher, that makes me really excited. And that's the type of stuff that we can work on together. Cool? All right. Last thing. Sorry, one more tiny thing. Sorry, I won't take up too much time.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more. All right, so I was here when Matt did his pitch, and I thought it was really cool because he talked about like being chased in like helicopters and shit, and like all this weird stuff that's happened and like on these travels and right. And I was like, you gotta tell him a little bit about like stuff like the crazy shit that you've seen throughout the years, right? Sorry to say, I've never been like in a failing helicopter in restricted airspace. I can't touch that story on that one. But what I can do is in 2010, I was in a lab in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And I saw a collection of cells, in a very powerful microscope that had been taken from a man's arm, like a tiny little syringe. So they took cells from his arm right here, right? And it went through a very special, again, I publish the tech guys, but I'm not the tech guy, right? some sort of special process, right? In the dish under the microscope, I looked at this same collection of cells that had come off of this man's arm sometime before, and they were beating heart cells, right? 2010, 2011, this is when the concept of like what we now call regenerative medicines was like first becoming a thing. And this was like early stage science. Like it had no application in human beings whatsoever. They just knew that the science was theoretically possible and they were testing it. Think about this. They took cells off of a dude's arm and through a regenerative medicine process, you were able to look at them under a microscope and they were beating heart cells. The implications of this for the years going forward and the investment opportunity that this is going to present, like through the roof, doesn't do it justice. And I saw this with my own eyes and then had to go back and write a promo about it and try and communicate it to the Kurtz that we write to. That's fucking incredible, right? Like blockchain tech is going to change everything about like how we do commerce in the next few years. Believe me when I tell you, because this is what I've been doing at Agora one way or another since day one when I got here in 2006. The medical revolutions that are either here or around the corner, you can't even wrap your head around it. Humankind in general is going to change more in the next decade than it has at any point in human history to date to now. There's shit on the market right now that wasn't even possible when I started working for Agora. Drugs like Keytruda, like the concept of immunotherapy. You see a TV commercial and it's like people can now live longer with terrible diseases. Take a step back and think about that and remember back to when you guys were kids or you were 12 years younger. That shit wasn't on the market and it wasn't possible. So now forecast 5 or 10 years further in the future, like, again, through the roof doesn't do it justice. So to sum up, what I said about blockchain, what I just said about the medical stuff that's coming, the stuff that we publish, the ideas that we're about, that's SFP in a nutshell, opportunity, right? We're going to do macro. We're going to launch all the other franchises that the silos that you need to be an anti-fragile business. But at our core, this group is about opportunity, and that's what we'll always be about. And until somebody else launches a tech letter and does those ideas as well as we do, we are the #1 home around Agora Financial for tech ideas.
I would say around Agora, too. There's no one else doing tech well around Agora.
Yeah.
Maybe Legacy a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe Money Map a little bit.
Yeah, we have, I talk to Ray about this all the time. He reads Jeff Brown, he reads Michael Robinson, great respect for those guys. They treat their readers really well. But I'll put Ray's track records up against anybody in Agora, anywhere, any day, anytime. And we take that responsibility to our readers very seriously and we work really hard at that. That's it.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
You mind coming up to the front? We're recording if that changes anything that you're about to say. I told you guys we had 2 guest speakers. Then I told you we had 1. Well, now we're back up to 2. I'll let Jack do his own introduction, but I'll tell you 3 things really quick. Number 1, Jack's probably written more words of copy than anybody else in Agora. Number 2, Jack's been at Agora. What did you say?
Said most of those words suck.
But that's
part of what I
copywriting career, right?
Yes.
Jack's been at Agora for longer than anybody within Agora Financial. You got Michelle beat by a couple years, right? And he's seen the transformation of Agora in a very unique way because while we may talk about it and while we may tell it to you guys, Jack went through it. So Jack Ford, and he can share, John Ford, Jack Ford, you'll hear us use it interchangeably. He can share kind of his story and a couple things that he's learned over the course of his copywriting career.
This is my speech.
I'm surprised you prepared.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Joe said yesterday, "Oh yeah, you should come to this thing and maybe you could speak." Which I have given a lot of speeches now about copy, and that was intimidating. Actually, this to come and speak today is intimidating because you guys are way more advanced with copy than I was when I started, and probably than I was a few years into doing it because I started in 93, I think 92 or 93 writing copy. And at the time, Agora had no junior copywriters. So I wasn't even called a junior copywriter, maybe ever, but We had no idea how to train copywriters. There was no program. It was just me and Bill in a room. And Joe said to me yesterday, I said, what am I going to talk about? Because you guys are good doing like the headlines and lead stuff. You're doing all the technical stuff here. I got nothing that I'm going to bring to that. So Joe said that, what did you say you asked the hardest thing you ever learned?
Yeah, something that you wish someone would have told you that you had to learn on your own.
Well, I had to learn all of it on my own because Bill didn't know how to, he had no idea how he wanted to teach it. So they started writing down the rules and things that you guys do in these in the boot camps. And the first thing I was going to say, I thought of 5 things that were hard to learn. There were many more, but I'm going to stop at 5, maybe 6. One of them was that everybody bluffs. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. When I started, there was Bill. There's also somebody named Beth Dent, who I think now goes by Beth Ketzner.
Yeah. Who hired me?
Who hired you?
Yep. Which I will always be grateful for.
And she and Bill were sitting there after I'd been hired, and they were talking about weirdos that they had hired. I don't know if the fact that I was there made me think of that topic, but weirdos that they'd hired in the past. And Bill was saying there was some guy that came in and he was interviewing, and he gave this long interview to Beth, and Beth was ready to hire him. And Bill walked into the room, and he said, and I just asked him one question. I asked him, "What's a Cheshire label?" And he didn't know. And then he and Beth laughed because this guy didn't know what a Cheshire label was. So I laughed. I was like, I can't believe he didn't know what that was. I had no idea what a Cheshire label was, and there was no internet or anything to look it up, and everything was in print, so it was part of the print, print marketing, print mailings. And then yesterday I was jotting these things down, trying to think about what I was going to say, and I was like, you know what? I don't remember what a Cheshire label was. So I bluffed all the way through, and I kind of sat there and just laughed my way through it. And I realized that I should have handled it differently. I should have asked right then what it was and spoken up. But the point being that there are moments that I think that we all sit there, that this business changes really fast, and there's a lot of new terminology and things that are going around. We all sit there with kind of a secret shame of like not asking what it is that's going on, or what it is that, some of you guys probably know a lot more about this business than I do by now, other terminology and things like that. But the only cure for that secret shame, sitting there like going, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm going to pretend I know what's going on, is just to be the person that's at the front of the room doing a lot of talking. You just get up and ask and pretend that you know, and gradually you know a lot. So that was one thing that was hard. Another thing that was hard was, let's see here, that easy to read is hard to write. That was a hard lesson. I came in, when I came into Agora, I had vision to being a great novelist, writing screenplays and things like that. And I guess at some level, I still feel like that's going to happen at some point when I get around to it, I guess. But I did a thing that I think a lot of new writers do, which is they see this stuff that we put out and they think, this is easy writing because it's all short words, it's small paragraphs. You can breeze through it. But as you all have found out already, I'm sure, that kind of writing is the hardest writing to do, because you go and you write that 10-word sentence, and then you go back and you look at it later and say, damn it, I don't like 9 of these words I hate. So you cross it out, you rewrite it again, you write it again, you go back and you put back the original sentence. It is hard to write something where you have an idea. You can have a good idea and bad writing can kill it. You can have a bad idea and good writing can't save it. So trying to find that happy medium is really tough. And trying to also find a style to write with. You read somebody else's style that's so different from yours, and their promo worked. You're like, I got to steal that style. But you don't even know if that's the style. It's the style that worked, or the quality of the idea. But one thing I have noticed that it seems to come back around to, as far as style of writing goes, that the best promotions generally are not, well, they're definitely not the dense and difficult to read. And usually not, although sometimes they are, the ones with all caps and bolded letters and lots of underlining, things like that. There's this kind of a happy medium of sort of a elegant hype or elegant hyperbole, where, and I think a lot of the guys, a lot of people here do that pretty well. The Dig In guys do that really well. I think the Stansberry guys do that really well, especially the stuff that Mike writes. I think Mike Palmer does this really well, where you read something and he doesn't feel like he's screaming at you, but what he's saying feels exciting. So if you can get in that style, and that is a hard thing to learn, I think. Here's a third one. That flexibility comes at a price. So I think, especially you guys who are just starting out, the thing that is really appealing to you as possible copywriters and that people talk about is that you can do this from anywhere. You can do this on your own kind of schedule, and you can do it once you're writing alone. You can be by yourself. One of the worst things about this career is that you can do it from anywhere, and that you can do it on your own, and you can do it at any time. Because what that means is you are never not working. You're probably not really making it as a copywriter until you are writing down headlines on cocktail napkins at a bar where you're supposed to be hanging out with people, or you're waking up and writing stuff down on a pad because you just dreamed up a new lead. It will consume you when you're hitting the level, when you're hitting that next level. It has to be something that consumes you, and if it never does, it might not be the right career for you because you can't write it part-time. It has to be something that you just, every conversation is going to be about the thing that you're writing about, and you just can't avoid it. So that's definitely something to learn. A fourth thing, criticism is a better friend than praise. So I have gone in the it's about 25, 26 years now through different phases of where in the beginning it didn't matter. I felt like it didn't matter whether the thing I wrote was good or bad because I was new. Everybody treated it like it was bad. Now maybe it really just was bad. I'm too stupid to know. But I dreaded going downstairs to give the copy, and at that time all the copy went through Bill and Mark, Bonner and Mark Ford, and it would come back. And Mark used to be an English professor, so he marked up the copy like an English professor, so it read everywhere. So he was like the line edits. He would cross out, he'd be like, big chunks of sentences, and you just get the page, and it would be like a redacted security document from a government. And Bill was he's not much of a teacher, so he would just write in a margin, no, and circle it, or just draw a line through like 3 or 4 pages. So I really dreaded all that criticism because it was defeating. You turned it in, you worked on it for a long time, and it's ripped apart. And then a period went by. There were periods where I was training other writers, and they would bring the other writing down, and I was kind of like the diplomat going between the writing group. At the time, this group was I think 4 other writers or 5 other writers upstairs in 14 West, and I would have to go through and talk to Bill and Mark about their copy, then go up and then try and walk them through the changes and stuff that they were supposed to do. And I had to teach Bill and Mark how to make comments on the copy so it wouldn't break their hearts upstairs. So I would go upstairs with the things that said no or had it all slashed out. And I was like, you've got to say something like nice typing or something. You've got to give them like a compliment on it. Make it feel good. So they'll keep writing, because otherwise they get so depressed by all these things that they would never finish what they were doing, or they could never go back and make it better. They'd lose all their enthusiasm. And then there were times, then you get something that works. And then when it goes out, then people, they don't mark your stuff up as much. And sometimes you turn something in and you'll be like, do you have any comments on it? And they're like, I turned it into legal. I'm like, no, it's not ready for legal. So they start passing things through and rubber stamping it because they've got other things to do, and they think, oh, he knows what he's doing, so we'll push it through. Well, you are much better off in that stage when somebody is willing to give a criticism. And if you can't get a critique from somebody, you have to find somebody else who's going to beat it up, because it's the stuff you beat up that's better than the stuff that gets pushed through. Because that, when stuff starts getting pushed through, that's when you start to get lazy. And you start believing that you can do all this stuff with. So that was a hard lesson. 5, that failure is an option. In fact, it's a requirement. So I have on my laptop, every time I change computers, I end up moving all the stuff from the last one to the new one. So I have stuff that's 5 computers ago on my drive, and that includes lots of old promos and all the folders with all the things that went with the promos when I was developing them. So I go back and I see the ones that worked, and I read them, and I can't remember any of the angst that went into writing them. I read them and I think, I don't know how I wrote this, because I don't even know, I don't think I have the knowledge that I had when I wrote it anymore. And it looks like somebody else wrote it. And I'm like, this is pretty good. I'll never do this again. I'll never be able to do this again. Then I find something, if I'm accidentally searching and an old promo comes up that didn't work, and I go and I look at it, and I remember every drop of blood that was spilled to write that promo that didn't work, and how horrible it was, and how I thought it was going to work, and everything. And some of the times I go through and it makes me mad. I'm like, that should have worked. There's no reason that shouldn't have worked. It's good. Most of the time I go through, I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? That is the worst headline. That's the stupidest, muddiest explanation. That's a stupid demonstration, or totally the wrong angle. You learn so much more from failing than you do from succeeding. And as Joe probably has said, and Ryan's probably said, you will fail more times than you succeed. Sometimes you will fail many times in a row. And that is very depressing. But one of the key qualities, that if that gets you so down that you can't continue to write, also maybe not the profession for you, because resilience is a top quality required. You have to be able to recover from a string of bad promos. For whatever reason they didn't work, hopefully you figure out what it is, but it will happen. If you do this long enough, it will happen. It will flop. And it's better to try something and flop than to just never put something up, which is the bonus point I wanted to say, which is you also have to learn to let it go. When you're writing the stuff, you have to let it, you have to realize when it's time to put it out the door. So you don't want that expression, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. It is easy to go and rewrite a line over and over again, change a headline that comes back from legal, you start touching it up where you're not supposed to. I heard a story once about a guy who was a painter, a French painter, who was not especially prolific, but everybody thought his work was amazing. He just had a beautiful, talent with shadows and light and things like that. And he had sold a piece that ended up in a museum. And 16 years later, he was caught in the museum with a paint palette, with wet paints and a brush, going up to the painting and tweaking the painting they have up on the wall. You are better off at some point just letting it go out the door. Just get it out there, get it tested. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys a story, and then we're gonna look something up on this board really quick. So 2.5 weeks ago, when I was at SEAL camp, I think we were like 5 hours in, and we were 5 hours in and getting our asses just completely kicked. And they told us to put on our book bags and to load it up with 35 pounds, and that we were gonna go on like a hike, and they didn't tell us when we were gonna end the hike. And part of what we had to put in the book bag were these big sandbags, because we needed a lot of weight, and then we had to put a big water jug, and I'm talking like a huge water jug, like it was like a 3-liter water jug. And stuff like that. So I packed my book bag, and what I didn't have room for was this little canteen thing that I had. So on my book bag, I got these little straps, and on the strap, I could hang my canteen. So I was like, it's a good idea. I'll hang my little canteen. I'll put the big water jug in my backpack. Cool. So we start hiking, and this goddamn canteen was bouncing up and down on my shoulder, and it's fucking annoying me. And then we got to get down, and we got to do push-ups, and then it's getting in my way doing the push-ups. So I take the canteen off, and I look around. We're all in a group, and we're hiking, and we're like 2 miles into this mountain. And I throw my canteen into the forest, right? About an hour and a half later, we're hiking back down the same mountain, and the goddamn Navy SEAL at the front of the line says, "Whose canteen is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, mine." And he fucking killed me in front of everybody, right? He killed me in front of everybody. And then he made me all of us drop down and do 50 burpees as a group, which sucked because we had just done 350 burpees about an hour and a half before that. I tell you all that to say that I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to social shame somebody potentially in this room right now as a way for all of us to get better. So I want you to look at that screen, and in just a moment, hopefully nothing embarrassing pops up on my phone. This is where I cross my fingers. I'm going to show you what I believe to be one of the world's worst lift notes that I've ever seen. Who wrote that lift note? Rob Braddock wrote that lift note. So we're going to publicly shame Rob. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to tell me why that's the world's worst lift note. Sorry, Rob. I hope you're a good sport.
They changed my head. They did change my stuff.
Don't worry about your subject line. I'll tell you, it's not the subject line. And this is a little bit of a racy lift note, and it's not the raciness that is the problem. But I'm going to read this. Photo. This website posted what? Dear Altucher Confidential Reader, I believe you can get rich with cryptos and that we aren't even at the beginning of crypto wealth creation. But there are so many scams out there, which is why you should know how to spot the total scams. This is how bad it is. Last month, a new crypto called something that I can't pronounce raised money for an initial coin offering. And they took all the money, deleted all their social media, and updated the website to just say penis. Again, hint, it's not the raciness that's the problem. This would be hilarious if people's money wasn't involved, but money is involved. People with money in scam cryptos are going to lose it. Look, I'm going to catch a lot of crap for this. I don't care. I'd rather warn the people who trust me than let these scam artists steal your money. So to be clear, some cryptos are scams, their founders are scam artists, and I wouldn't be surprised if they hate puppies and are crappy tippers. James, what's the problem with that lift note? Where should I click? Brandon nailed it. We are salespeople, salesmen and saleswomen. And part of being salesmen and saleswomen, what is the number one rule that we always need to do? Always ask for the sale. So in this case, you're asking for a click. All lift notes should command the reader at some point to say click here or some variation of that. Tap here, go here. Go ahead.
This kind of stuff, I'm not coming at you, but this kind of stuff actually upsets me. This kind of like self-indulgent nonsense, not to sound like Simon Cowell. You do shit like this in my group, you're gonna get mushroom therapy. Okay?
Poor Rob. Poor Rob.
Two poo-poo head.
Oh, yeah. My daughter changed my phone, and now it calls me poo-poo head.
All right.
No, my daughter changed my phone. Watch this. Hey Siri, what's my name?
But since we're friends, I get to call you Poo Poo Head.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of text because that's what you said.
No, sorry. That's on me. I should have scrolled down a little bit further like that, and you wouldn't see me.
Aaron, this always sound like
Okay, so I hope the story that I was telling you about SEAL
I'm
Camp
defending
framed.
myself slightly here, if I can be self.
No.
Half of those links are legally fucked to hell and are not my original links.
Yeah, don't let it go
Can I
out.
say something here?
At the end of the day,
Relates to
extreme
what I
ownership.
was saying before. I can tell the dynamic is, and I'm just bringing it up so it's not under. So he said self-indulgent, and that bothers you. And I understand that it bothers you. But that is a good example of the kind of criticism that does shake you. I mean, that was a harsh statement, but it is true, and it's not just about this copy, because we all do it. I've seen Bill Bonner do it.
I've done
Something-
it. I've done it. I've
something
done the
that's
same thing you've
self-indulgent.
done 25
This
times.
This is when they say about writing that there's a darling, Peter Darlings. This is a darling kill. And this is a, I would be a darling that looks like a penis. So, these, but,
What's a CTR?
but you see, so this is like that example. This is an example of it feels like it's disruptive. It feels like a story that is, and your point is well taken that you're trying to make the thing. The people who are behind that crypto are ridiculous. But as Joe's saying, that's not really the problem with it. The problem with it is you've gone out to disrupt them. And you've told a story that's actually kind of fun to tell and, probably make us all kind of laugh when we think about it. And I remember stuff like this happening during the .com days too. But the real disconnect is not so much that it's about that, but how does it link his idea of cryptos? And if we have to explain it to show how the penis thing links to his idea of what cryptos to buy and what not to buy, there's just a little bit of a disconnect there.
So I've made the same mistake.
Maybe I'm saying that and the thing works great, but I suspect.
And just for the record, too, I would never say anything to you or anybody else that I wouldn't hold myself to account for, too. I've written, maybe you and I are probably close. I've written more failed lift notes than anybody else in this room. And that's just because I've been around a long time. So you're going to test stuff, you're going to try stuff like that, you're going to win, you're going to lose. So when you do, you got to be able to go back and pick up the stuff that can make it stronger. And that's the stuff you have to think about.
Yeah,
The only reason I say that to you is because you and I have a good relationship, and I know you're sweating so hard.
Listen, Rob, I made this mistake 50 times. The problem is I wish someone would have told me about it the first time I made it, because then I wouldn't have made it the other 49 times. And the only reason I discovered it is because I'd look at my CTRs over and over again and be like, why are these lifts not? Oh, I never asked for the sale. So this would be the equivalent of writing a 30-page sales letter and never having a subscribe now button, right? We'd never do that. So anyway, social shaming over. I've done it a million times. I just wish someone would have told me the same thing we just told you. Just ask for the sale. Everybody, when you write a lift note, never, ever, ever publish a lift note where you're not commanding the reader of what to do next. That's a simple thing we can all fix, independent of the big ideas, right? Independent of the big ideas. Make sure you're telling them, click here. Go to this free website I visited. Tap here. Whatever combination of commanding the reader to ask for the sale. In this case, the sale equals the click. That's what you're selling. You're selling the idea of getting them to click to read more. You okay?
Fucking going to Iris as soon as we
Yeah, and then you're going to have vindication when it gets to 26% click through rate. Okay, with that said, I'll turn it over to Ron. Yeah, that's it.
So I'm going to tell you guys a quick story of a major breakthrough.
Thanks for being a good sport.
A major breakthrough I got in my career, and it kind of relates to what Aaron was saying about the change in medicine and the amazing things that are happening in medical science. In Oxford Club, when I worked at Oxford Club like 6 years ago, I wanted to write a front end about life extension, specifically something called RNA interference, which is a kind of medical technology being used to extend people's lives in laboratories and in animals. And there's all this amazing shit that I found out about RNA interference. And my big idea was to talk about the amazing change that medical science is going to have for our lives. The fact that based on RNA interference, you might live to be 1,000 years old was one of the things I learned. That, they would give it to monkeys, and monkeys would live 5 and 10 years longer after these treatments. That a blind person who had cataracts took one of the shots of these RNA interferences in her eyes and could see, blind could see, which is pretty incredible. So I wrote this promotion, I have a front end promotion all about this huge change coming, a huge shift in medicine and our lives and how it's going to disrupt everything. And I showed it to Alexander Green, who is the editor over at Oxford Club. And he's like, your promo sucks. And I'm like, well, what do you mean it sucks? It's pretty fucking, he's like, your big idea's wrong. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's the biggest fucking idea you can talk about, right? And he's like, well, what's the opportunity? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, what's the opportunity? And I'm like, well, if you invest in the companies that are working on this medicine, you'll make a lot of money. And he's like, is that in your lead? And I'm like, no. He's like, is that in like the first 10 pages? And I'm like, no, it's all about this big science. He's like, he told me something really stuck with me. He's like, the people that buy our stuff are opportunity buyers. They're not buying science magazines. They're interested in science, they're interested in technology, they're interested in these huge shifts, but the reason why they're reading it, the thing gets them to read the entire thing and then eventually buy the product, is they want to make money.
If you have a subscribe now button.
Yeah, so you knew that too.
So
So
you actually ask them to buy the product.
yeah.
Maybe that should be the rule. The first person who doesn't ask for the sale has to get a subscribe now button.
So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about like how to identify an opportunity and how to create an opportunity for copy. So just to recap what we've learned so far on Copy Camp. The most important thing, your idea is what?
Big idea.
Okay. Yeah. What's the second most important thing? Yeah, a pattern interrupt, right? Third, what's the third most big thing? Proof. Yeah. Some of these things are kind of yeah. And then last week we talked about the fourth thing being an offer. I would say like the fifth thing, and maybe it kind of, the order of these things is kind of arbitrary. I think big idea is definitely number one. Would be you need a real opportunity. You need an opportunity for them to make money. It sounds so obvious, but I read so much copy, and it's like, and it's just about like big changes in the world or something or someone's story, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. How do I make money out of it? You got to tell that part of the story. So, how many guys read The Lazy Man's Way to Riches? All of you should have read it. What were some of your insights after reading that?
I really don't like it.
You didn't like it, huh?
Self-indulgent.
Too many subscribe now buttons.
There was a little order. Brandon?
Yes, it goes into how these guys are working their asses off and not really making that much in their life.
Okay. So it's kind of identifying the reader's state of their problem. Scott?
Yeah, I thought it was great. The whole thing was like, this could be you.
Yeah.
Very much clear. It's very clear this could be you. Whole thing.
All right.
I mean, I think my big takeaway is that he actually told the truth. Hey, I'm doing this to make money off of you guys, but you can make money too.
Yeah.
I am the archetype for that, for that type of product. So I read one paragraph. I said, I'm in. What is it? When I Google and looked it up, I was like, no. It's like I'm enjoying reading this thing more and thinking about the opportunity more than anything. So I thought that was badass.
So did you notice, does it seem like an opportunity when you read it? Did you notice, what is the opportunity?
He
What is
doesn't
it?
say anything.
Doesn't say anything about it, does he? It's completely blind.
It's annoying.
I mean, he's selling a book. And to read the book, actually, half of it is kind of positive thinking, and the other half is basically how to write copy and write direct mail. So that was really what the ordinary idea is, that philosophy he had, what he called The Lazy Man's Way to Riches. How many guys read Bill's essay on fat tails? All of you, good. What were some of your insights from reading that essay about fat tail ideas? Me?
The ending stuck with me for I read that a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I still cannot stop thinking about the fact that he went to Supreme Court and said, look, World War II, nobody thought that shit was going to happen. And what if we had written about it and somebody actually listened, we could have prevented a whole bunch of shit. I was just like, I keep thinking about it. But that's really powerful.
I mean, a lot of people ask what our business is, and I feel like that essay is kind of the closest thing to have a founding document of what we do, what we're selling, fat tail idea, and what that means. So I think it's pretty critical. I mean, a lot of people's biggest mistake in business is they don't know what business they're in. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. That's our business. We're the alternative press. We put out extreme shit. And it has to be a fat-tailed idea or we're doing it. And it's weird when you see things like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, because the mainstream media is catching up real fast, and you have to kind of be on that edge. Does anyone else have any other thoughts after reading that essay? Scott?
Aaron says that more extremes should happen all the time.
Yeah.
And you get more and more relevant.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk a little bit about Grandpa Kurt. So some of you guys have been meeting different places, casinos, cigar bars. I hear stories outside this room. I'm going to tell you like 20 facts about Grandpa Kurt just to get you thinking. Number one, Grandpa Kurt doesn't really consider himself an investor. That's not really his identity. He might be an investor. That's why he's buying. But like, if you ask him, like, he's definitely not a trader. A lot of people think our audience is traders. They are not traders. They have very low self-esteem. Like some of the ones you guys met at the casino, they have money in the markets, but like their identity is probably their profession for the most part, or their place in the family. You ask them like who you are, they'd say, "Well, I'm an engineer, and I'm a dad, I'm a grandpa, I'm an uncle, I'm a homeowner." There'd be like 20 fucking things. So you got to like, well, I'm an investor. They're not investors. I mean, that's not how they see themselves. Number two, his biggest experiences making money have not come from markets. Where did he get his money? From his career. It wasn't from the markets. Job. Okay, so that's where he made his money, from his being in it. Maybe he was an entrepreneur, maybe he owned a business, but for the most part, whatever he did for a living was how he made his money. Or it's from Social Security, maybe annuities, maybe a pension plan. Those are the things he's familiar with. That's how he relates to like the idea of money in his head, that he had to work hard for it and save it up. And in order to get money, you have to work hard. That's something he believes in one level. Number three, for the most part, his experience in the markets is losing money. Okay? In like 2000 and 2008, he probably got hit in the balls. Okay. Number four, he might not admit it, but he truly does want get rich quick. It's one of those kind of unspoken. How do we know that? Because we have like 30 years of advertising testing showing that get rich quick works. Number five, he's looking for fat tail ideas. Number six, he's bored for the most part. If he's retired, he's just sitting around his house watching the Golf Channel. He's got time. Even if he's working, he's bored. He's been doing the same shit now for 40 years. Number seven, he's busy in the sense that like there's lots of other things he could be doing with his time other than reading our shit. You know, if he's not, you know, he's got a to-do list, his honey-do list from his wife. He's got stuff to do, home improvement projects. So he could justify clicking away from our shit pretty easy. Number eight, he's lazy in the sense that if he really wanted to be an investor and make a lot of money in the markets, he would have figured it out by now himself. He hasn't. That's why he's in the market. Number nine, he feels hopeless and stuck in his financial fate. Number 10, he has little to no knowledge of investing in finance. This is just his perspective. Maybe he does know more than he thinks, but that's the way he feels. Number 11, he feels resigned to his fate and is reluctant to be told otherwise. Meaning I'm trying to convince him, like, Grandpa Kurt, you can do better in making money in the markets. He's been very resistant to that because he hasn't had any success at that. And trying to convince him to do that is going to be difficult. That's why we don't try to convince. We try to like validate and fascinate, not convince or correct. Number 12, he likes gloom and doom porn. You can read into that. Maybe it's just because he's old and crusty and he thinks like the world was better when he was growing up. So because we've kind of changed as a society or values that maybe we kind of deserve to get punished at some level. Maybe he's just seen a lot of the real shit in the world that really just depresses him. But he likes gloom and doom porn. Number 13, he's highly skeptical, highly sophisticated when it comes to ideas for his money. Everyone's been trying to get his money his whole life. People have been selling him his entire life. He's dealt with stockbrokers and scammers and people trying to sell mutual funds or annuities or different investment products. Plus, if he's on any of our lists, we've been marketing the shit out of him over and over every day, right? We probably 50 times he's getting emails from some sort of Agora affiliate. Number 14, he's angry that he's not hearing the secrets to getting rich, and he feels more than a little entitled to get them. Okay, so he believes in secrets, and he's a little bit angry. No one's ever told him. He knows they're out there. Number 15, he believes his neighbor and golf buddies are making more money than him. He personally knows other people that have made money in the markets, and he hasn't. Number 16, he believes Wall Street and the rich are screwing him by not sharing their secrets. He can go on TV and see the stock market at record highs, and he knows people are making money. He hasn't. So they have the secret, he doesn't. Number 17, he believes the government, aka deep state, is screwing him by punishing him for being a hardworking, tax-paying citizen. Number 18, he still believes in credentialism. Credentialism is the fact that, job titles, degrees, other marks of authority actually are perceived as authority.
That's why Ryan has to do this, because I can't even say that word.
Credentialism.
Yeah.
Number 19, it's not his fault he doesn't have the money he wants. And number 20, he wants to believe his golden ticket is just around the corner. Okay. So I'm going to pass this out. It's a pretty interesting essay written by a couple of college professors kind of analyzing the lazy man's way to riches. Can you pass this out, Liz? Kind of a key concept you might have heard repeated a couple times is the idea of secrets. Okay? Secrets sell. You might want to write that down. Secrets sell. When we're selling an opportunity info product, which is all we really sell on the financial side, newsletters, special reports, we don't really tell how it really works. Okay, we keep that secret. We don't keep it as secret as the lazy man's way to riches. We don't know what the hell it even is. But a lot of what I see mistakes made in copy is people try to explain too much. They try to say, here's how it really works. And you have pages and pages of people explaining how the opportunity really works. They don't really want to know how it really works. They just want to know it works. And they want to believe it works. There's a difference there between knowing how something works and just believing it does work. So you got to have some proof, of course, to build that level of certainty, that feeling of certainty, that feeling of belief. They don't really want to know how it works. I mean, it's similar to what Aaron was talking about, like the blockchain. Right now, everyone's talking about how the blockchain works. And holy shit, is that fucking confusing, right? I don't know how Netflix works. All I know is my kid can go on there and watch a fucking movie with like two button clicks, right? I just know it works. I don't care how it works. But when something's new, you know, they have to have some assurance that you're not just making shit up either. And I don't think the lazy man's way to riches ad would work today because I think people are a lot more skeptical. They want to know, what is it? Tell me a little more about it. There's another problem we run into that maybe Jack can tell us the story of why it's called this, but Phil called it the categorical imperative, which is actually a really terrible name because it's something from philosophy, and I think it just sounds confusing.
Well, it's doubly terrible because Bill uses it wrong.
Yeah.
We need to rephrase this or reframe
that
this because it's very confusing.
It's a categorical imperative, just so we can get past the boring part.
Yeah.
It's from Immanuel Kant, and it's about moral philosophy. About how you decide something is right or something is wrong.
Yeah.
Bill, who is very smart and knows lots of things, and I've told him this over and over again. He's like, it doesn't matter. It sounds good because I can say Kant and then I can say categorical imperative and gets my point across. The point he wanted to make was that people force things into categories. just by default, because we need to speed through everything so we understand it. You know, like when you talk about people learning languages and hearing somebody speak, we don't actually process every word that people say when they speak, because if we did, it would be too slow. We just fill in the blanks. That's why you think that you heard somebody say something, because you accidentally filled in the wrong blank. Because you jump to say, well, every time I've heard somebody say something, it goes into that slot. Usually it goes into that slot. So that's right here. We do that with everything, where something comes in, and if it's an ad comes in and it's got starbursts and things all over it, and it's really in your face, you think that's one kind of ad, it's selling something. Now when it comes in as something else, you're like, that's another kind of ad, it's selling something else, and I've seen that before. And the risk of things getting pushed into those categories is that you also have a way that you've decided to treat those things. So that's why you do stuff to stand out. So the categorical imperatives, you've got to stay out of the categories. That's why we always talk about disruptions. In the beginning, you got to make them stop. Go, hey, what's going on here?
So people make judgments, snap judgments. They put things in buckets. You say something like options trading to them, and they have or even just the word trading to them, and they have right away a whole bunch of preconceived notions of what that means. It's risky. It's hard. I don't know it. I know people that lost money playing options. These things don't fucking work. That's the category they put it in. So that's a real danger. At the same time, like say you're selling like gold coins. We looked at like the gold coins promo that Stanford put out a couple years ago. Well, like there's a lot of preconceived things like about that already, which is like, well, I already know everything about it. I know what a gold coin is. I own a couple. I've seen them before. It's just a hunk of gold and a disc. Who cares, right? So like people categorize things, and that's why we try to make secrets to build. Number one, because curiosity works. Curiosity is probably the most powerful motivators. And because we got to somehow reframe them to what we really want them to think about whatever we're talking about. So when I wrote the impact system promotion, that essentially was buying options. It was buying options on ETFs and stocks that move because of currency wars. That's the ordinary idea. That has a lot of preconceived notions for somebody. First of all, like it's buying up. They don't know there's just like buying and selling options. They don't know the advantages of that. Again, it's options trading. So when I call it the impact system, I really never explained at all that it was about options. I just said it was a new way to invest, kind of similar to currency, trading currencies, which people find kind of interesting because it's something new and different, and they never tried that before. It's not Forex. It's a different way to trade currencies. Oh, okay. So I tried to avoid those categories in there of, I think I mentioned options sneakily like 2 times in there to kind of drop a little bit just for someone reading that actually knew what I was talking about, wanted some sort of out. I think I said something like these currency wars create ripples in the different markets, kind of starting out like in the currency markets, and they ripple out to like stocks, and they ripple out the options, and the most profitable kind of trades for impact system are in the outer ring or something like that. But I never really said it was how it worked or at all. I mean, I remember when I originally wrote it, I had huge chunks of copy in there telling like how it worked, and I cut all that shit out. No one cares how it works. They just want to know it worked. All right. Another problem with opportunity, and I'm quoting Thomas Edison here. Opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. Sad but true. I mean, wish people would just work hard and study on their own, and they could have all the opportunity in the world, but most people do not. They don't want to work hard. That's why the lazy man way to riches worked. So that's why you need to reframe people's beliefs.
Let me talk about opportunities for just a moment. But let me get my thoughts down real quick. You've probably heard us say this before, and it might be slightly confusing. When we're copywriters, we're really not selling the newsletter. So I want to talk about that for a little bit because that gets very confusing. So you may think when you sit down with a blank piece of paper and you're thinking about ideas that it's your mission to sell a newsletter. It's really not, right? Opportunities that our subscribers want are typically one of 4 things. Systems to make them money, secrets to make them money, predictions that protect their money, and offers that can save them money. So I'm going to just pick on secrets for just a second. We're selling secrets that can make them money. We're delivering that in the form of a newsletter that they don't want most of the time. So that's why when you look at a promotion and you're reading all these promotions that sit in that swipe file that you're supposed to be reading, that we know you are every day, most of the concentration is not on the newsletter. Most of the concentration, you look at a secret promo and it's 30 pages with a subscribe now button. Unless Rob's writing it. So it's 30 pages. And typically 20 of those 30 pages are going to be on the secret. 20 of those 30 pages are on the secret. That's the opportunity you're selling. There might be a page on the newsletter. They don't want the newsletter, right? Most of the time they're going to call up customer service and say, I just want that special report. I don't want the newsletter. So our job, when you think about it in writing copy, is to sell those secrets, to sell those systems, to sell those predictions that can save them or that can protect their money, to sell those offers that can save them money. The delivery mechanism is in the form of newsletters because that's the regulatory environment that we have to be in. We got a whole section for legal/compliance that's going to come up later that will talk about why we have to deliver these things in the format of newsletters. But the readers want the opportunities. So that's why if you look at a 30-page promotion, it's really rare to see the genetic makeup of that promotion. Like, it's rare to see 20 out of the 30 pages spent on the newsletter. That's really rare because those promos don't work. Does that make sense? Because we're not selling the newsletter. So what happens is when you listen to customer service phone calls, which you should all do, by the way. How many people have listened to customer service phone calls? You guys should all schedule, the gentleman that runs customer service, his name is Brad Anderson. You guys should write Brad Anderson sometime over the next 2 weeks and say, can I come over and spend an hour with your reps on the phone? Listen to what these people are saying. These are our customers, right? What typically happens is they call up and they say something like this. Just to build on the example that Ryan's saying. This is how you can tell when you've done a good job selling opportunity. They call up and they say, I want the impact system. And the rep says, the customer service rep says, well, actually the impact system is part of a newsletter subscription research service that we have called Currency Wars Alert. And they're like, I don't care about that. I want the impact system. So that's what you're doing as a copywriter, right? You're selling secrets that can make them money, systems like the impact system that can make them money, predictions that protect their money, and offers that could save that money. So if you ever hear us say that, like at the end of the day, we have to deliver it in the form of newsletters. Same thing with courses, right? So Brad's running the education business. They don't want a course. Our readers do not want a course in the same way that they don't want a newsletter. They want the opportunity of what it could provide to them in their life in the form of one of those four things, pretty much. So when you sit down and you write a promotion, if you're spending 80% of your time on the newsletter, something's gravely wrong, because that's typically a sign that the promo is not going to work. We'll get to all the legal concerns about why we have to deliver newsletters and the regulatory environment later. Aaron.
Just to tag on what they're saying, the expression we use is people buy promises, they don't buy products. Onboarding, making sure the customer's happy in the first 30 days, delivering everything the fulfillment side includes. That work of introducing the product and what the product is about. We have a whole group of people behind the actual sales function to make sure that that's like we get off to a good start in the relationship. But your job as a copywriter is to sell the promise, because at the end of the day, like Joe just said, nobody buys a product, they buy promises. To fill all those 20 holes in our everything else happens later.
All right, I'm going to piggyback off something Aaron said too, that when you talk about the promises that we're giving, and we usually say about that opportunity was where the rubber meets the road, making the money. And you do have to show the money, and there's a lot of talk about the money that they're going to make. People don't want money. That's not what they're looking for. What people want is more touchy-feely, but what people want is respect. It's basically a form of love. Right? People want to feel like other people respect them, that they respect themselves. They're looking for a picture of themselves that they have always wanted to become.
Yeah.
And they want other people to see them as that thing that they want to become. That's why they want those systems. And so we have 4 ways to get them to that position of self-respect and being respected by others.
One final thing I'm going to say about the opportunity concept before we move on. Social shaming number 2 of the day. I'm going to pick on Judd and Brad for just a moment. A couple days ago, right when we pitched, your pitch was for the gold coin pitch, right? And if you remember their basic pitch was something like the government's secret war on art, generally-ish, right?
Mhm.
Now you guys can see the problem with that idea. It lacks opportunity for the reader, right? So is the government's secret war on art an interesting idea? Maybe. Could it sell a newsletter? No, because it lacks the opportunity. What's in it for the reader for the government's secret war on art? It might be a great Vanity Fair article, right? Might be a great idea about the history of the government banning certain gold coins created by certain artists. Doesn't have any opportunity inherent for the reader. So when you think about that, as part of your whole checklist of developing an idea, does this idea have opportunity for the reader? And that comes back to what Ryan said, RNAi interference or RNAi is a phenomenal idea, right? Unless there's an opportunity in the reader for the reader to be able to grow their wealth, gain that self-respect, have love in the eyes of their fellow peers and family members. If there's no opportunity in doing that, then there's no promo. So that's the simple part of today that I just want to keep repeating. The opportunity for the reader must be there. There are a lot of interesting ideas that will never sell newsletters because there's no opportunity attached to that idea. Good? That was less brutal, right? Than for Rob's.
So that idea has a shade, tiny bit of opportunity for the reader in which Grandpa Kirk, or what's his name?
Kurt, yeah.
Kurt feels like government is getting in his way.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be able to read that and go, vindication, government war on, and then it says art. And he goes, of course, I never cared about art and that stuff. So
The government's secret war on your wealth might be
now
closer
you're
to
getting
it.
closer to home.
Yeah,
Or
right?
the government's war on art, and here's your chance to make, say 800% on your money in the next 60 days using this little known secret.
You could also throw in a point here about plausibility. Is the government really waging a secret war on art? Unless you're that guy who used to take the photos of
Judd, any
things
question?
you're doing stuff.
Yeah, I do have a question. And it relates to what I'm going to be writing about. Is there like I don't know, a division on whether you're promising the reader to save money versus make money? Like, what's the breakdown?
I guess it's always one of the things I've heard in salesmanship is that it's better to sell the cure than prevention. I think there is a market maybe for frugality and saving money, but for the most part, people don't want to save money. They want what they have now plus more. That's really when an opportunity is.
Are you talking protection versus profit, though? Here's a prediction that's going to...
It's a threat to your wealth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's...
well, my especially is healthcare.
Yep.
Access to health. That's the hugest problem right now in America. It's not about healthcare, but I want to show them pathways of how to save.
Mhm.
So,
But is that really what you're selling, or is it better healthcare, right?
yeah, it encompasses everything. It encompasses the war on the government.
But I mean, that's really what people want, though, is the best healthcare they can get, really. I mean,
Right.
that's the opportunity there. It's not if I could save money, I could just save money by just getting whatever the bare minimum insurance is and just never going to the doctor, and I'll save money there, right? But that's really not what I want. I mean, what I want to be is healthy. So it's just a different way of looking at it. I mean, saving money is kind of a benefit, right? But I think it's more of a side benefit than most people. They really want the best healthcare, where they can live a long time and live a happy, fruitful life. So 13 beliefs that your financial promo needs to install in people. I'll just read them quick. It's on the sheet, but it's possible to beat the markets. And now you're going to think when I'm doing this too, how would you prove this? How would you install this belief, right? So these are kind of inherent in every successful promotion, financial promotion. Earning a higher rate return on the market is a good thing to do. Seems obvious, but how would you get someone to know that even? Other investors regularly beat the markets. It's possible for me to beat the markets. There's a difference there. If I try, it's highly likely that I'll succeed. Again, that's certainty. Each of the other times I've lost money or earned poor returns, it wasn't my fault. Why not? Probably because you didn't know the secret, right? I have enough education, experience, time to be successful at this. How do you prove that? Market conditions are perfect for this opportunity today, like right now, at this very minute. This is the right opportunity for my investment goals. I'll be the hero to my family and the envy of my friends when I succeed with this. This goes to Jack's point, what people really want. Status, respect, to have people look up to them, especially close family members and friends, or even their golf buddies or other people that are influential in their lives, coworkers. Number 12, this is more interesting and exciting than all the other media I have access to. And number 13 is what I'm actually adding this to this list because I got this from somebody else. But I'll make way more money than this than it actually costs to buy the product. And you gotta, like, how does someone know that? Well, you gotta tell them that, right? Prove that to them. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about, as this kind of relates to the list above, like what is like a naturally attractive opportunity? Imagine you're sitting next to someone at the casino or at the bar and you're pitching them to sell them, like, right, they're not pitching them an idea for a promo. We're trying to actually close them on one of your opportunities you're talking about. Like, pretend like you're selling like Bitcoin to them directly, okay? Number one, a simplistic, easy to understand idea. That's where like metaphors and analogies are really important. Like if they don't understand it, then they're done. They don't really have to understand, again, how it works, but they have to understand, enough so they can feel like they understand it. Difference there. Number two, a fat tail idea. We just talked about that. Number three, this is interesting. People like ideas that are a little bit shady. They like to feel like they're getting away with something. As none of us with secrets a very secret sell is that the secret, no one else knows it. It's kind of a little bit, could be insider information. It could be stuff that the government doesn't want you to know. That shadiness, that little bit of like that feeling that they're just getting away with something is pretty important. And you can read some promotions, like my favorite one of all time, like the insider code, where he stole the insider code from the investment bankers and the sharing of other people, things like that. I mean, you can really see, or if you have a story of how you got in trouble in the past by telling that the editor told a secret and got in trouble, things like that, getting fired. A little bit of danger, I guess. A new and different mechanism. We've talked a lot about that. People, and this kind of goes back to the people putting things in category. People like things that are not stocks, options, bonds, etc. They like something different they never tried before. That's why you're seeing a huge upswing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because it's new. So if you are selling stocks or you are selling bonds or options, how do you make it new and different? Number five, a catalyst with a specific date. Some of these things I'm telling you here are like when you go and like talk to the publisher or talk to the editor and do your sales detective work. This is the shit you need to find out, right? All right, like a catalyst, that should be a question every time. Like, if someone's saying, oh, this is about like some sort of pot stock, and we think it's going to go up because X, Y, Z. Well, what's the catalyst? When's it going to happen? Give me a date. Or go find one yourself and just kind of think it through. Like if it's a public company, there's 4 times a year where they report earnings. Typically in an earnings call, they have a conference call where they go and tell all the institutional investors, analysts, all the great things happening. So if something really was going to happen, what was going to change the entire world, chances are they'd be saying it at a conference call. So that's 4 times a year. If you usually go to investor relations part of a stock's website and find out exactly when they do the conference calls. Number 6, historical proof or a track record. This is tricky because people need that. And if it's a brand new opportunity, then you need to find something that's similar that happened in the past to relate to it. Or if in the past it's been terrible, well, that's a problem. You need to find something else then that's kind of like it that explains that this thing has a track record. Number 7 is a credible source. Especially powerful if the source actually made money with it. We've talked about that in the past. The fact that James Altucher personally made 8,000% in cryptocurrencies means the device is a lot more powerful than hearing about how you found some other guy it did. First-person stories are way more powerful than third-person stories. Number 8, easy. It should be plug and play for the most part. When people say they want to buy the impact system, that's what they're saying on the customer service people. They just want to get that system, and it's going to immediately give them all the promises made right out of the box. Number 9, it doesn't take a lot of starting capital. People like that. It seems very low risk. That's why penny stocks are so popular. That's why like a 19-cent cryptocurrency is so popular. It makes no rational sense because if you bought, if you put $1,000 into a 19-cent cryptocurrency, or you put $1,000 into one that costs $1,000 a coin, you're still risking $1,000. It just feels like the smaller one, you're only risking 19 cents. People like that. Number 10, it doesn't require any previous experience or knowledge. 11, other regular and smart people are using this as social proof again. Very important. Number 12, it plays the prospect's fantasies. And number 13, very important, that the timing is perfect. The making money is inevitable with this. That's what they want to believe. So we'll get to like legal what disclosures we need to make, but I mean, you do want to have sometimes to build credibility, maybe reveal a few of the flaws. We talked about that being kind of powerful proof, but you got to kind of reframe that. So like the flaw might be that you can only make $1,500 for one of these trades at a time, but the fact you can make them over and over again. See how I kind of reframed how a flaw in the strategy, that there's a limit on how much money you can pull out at any time, but the fact you can pull it out over and over again is a way to frame that flaw as something that's actually a positive. All right. It's all very abstract, but now we'll get to some real interesting stuff. I call these the financial promo archetypes, and there's a lot of crossover in this. Like these things don't always fit in easy categories, but basically these are like the kind of promos that generally work on the front end and back end. And this will help you when you look at your idea, figure out where it belongs, okay? So on the front end, generally, secret packages work. Little known, new and under the radar, secret investments. You can see a bunch of examples on there. If you don't have any of these, you want to see what they look like, just hit me up and I can send it to you for a swipe file. Number 2, predictions work on the front end. So if you have a prediction package and you want to run it on the back end, you could be making a mistake. Again, like there's no hard and fast rules, but this is generally just based, I think, on 30 years of testing of what works and doesn't work and where it works.
Jack wrote the Gold 2000 package that you see on the prediction list. So if you want to know how that prediction worked or where it came from or anything like that, talk to Jack.
So you can see like there's positive predictions and negative predictions. So the positive prediction of Gold 2000, I don't know when you wrote that, what gold was.
2006, 7.
So it was like $500, $800, like that. So that was pretty powerful. And then of course, End of America being the negative doom and gloom ones. Typically, doom and gloom seems to work better. I don't know why. Maybe the psychology of it is that if, for example, if you're promising like Dow 50,000, it's kind of like, well, what do I need you for? Everything's gonna get better. So who cares, right?
I think it works better because the fear is, psychologists say the fear is
Yeah.
more motivator.
Yeah. And it kind of sets up the sale better because then you're creating a problem and people then want the solution.
Your adrenaline gets
Yeah. So you can do positive, bullish predictions, but you really got to have that opportunity then. There's one that we did, I don't know when this came out, but Remade in America like 5 years ago. And it's all about how everything's going to get great in America again. This is right in like 2010, right? When things were really shitty. And End of America was actually like killing it out there. It's kind of the opposite thing, that things are going to get better and things are going to start being made in America again. And it's kind of making America great again, like 6 years ago. But it's all about one specific kind of opportunity and how to make money on that, which was actually the U.S. oil business. So it was about one kind of opportunity. It wasn't just like, things are going to get better, everything's great, because then it's like, what the fuck am I reading this for? You know what I mean? Like, there's no opportunity there. This is like, things are going to get better and get great, but if you want to make a lot of money, it's all because of this one particular thing, which was U.S. oil stocks. That was right when fracking and other things were getting a lot more well known.
It's going to be obvious, but when you have a prediction, make sure it's a fat tail prediction. It's going to be obvious, but just to state it. So, like, what's Bitcoin at right now? Who knows?
So like 11,000.
Yeah. So let's call it 11, right? Just to make it easy. Prediction that's not going to work is like, if a Bitcoin's at 11, you're like, Bitcoin 12,000, right? So that's not going to work. You could say Bitcoin $100, or you could say Bitcoin $30,000 or something like that. But they have to be fat tail predictions. Everything's got to be fat tail, but just really think about that when you think about predictions. We used to have this editor that we're trying to write a newsletter around, and we'd bring him in the room and we'd say, what's your best prediction right now? And who knows what GDP is? It's fine if you don't. Who knows what GDP is? Okay, a couple of you guys. It's basically a way to measure the output of an economy, right? And let's say the consensus mainstream view, if you turn on CNBC around when they're reporting GDP stuff, the consensus mainstream view might have been like 2% GDP, right? And this editor would sit down and be like, my prediction is 2.2% GDP. And we're like, oh God, this newsletter is never going to work. So just think about that. When Jack wrote Gold 2000, gold might have been at like $500. Coming back to what Manny said earlier about fat tails and about the ending of that fat tail article, when Jack wrote Gold 2000, it was at $500, and no one thought it was going to reach 2,000, right? Does anyone know what gold hit as far as a high goes a couple of years ago? A little higher. It was almost dead on 2,000. It was like 1952 or something like that. It's pretty awesome, right? And we made a prediction. No one thought it was going to happen. Some of our editors almost got laughed off of CNBC. That's the other thing. That's the test. That's like the litmus test. If the editor will get laughed off of CNBC about saying his prediction, you know you've got something. If the editor gets bited back and they're all clapping their hands, not good.
Prediction has to also be on the outer reach of what your target audience is hoping for. So if we're writing crypto people and we say Bitcoin 100, they might go, that will be jarring, but they also might go, I don't want to read that because that might prove to me that I'm wrong.
Yeah, people do not want to feel like they're wrong.
So real quick, because now I interrupted and screwed up Ryan's flow. Front ends, secrets, typically. Predictions, typically.
The third category is pretty unique to Agora Financial. I don't think a lot of people tap into it, but I guess I'd call it like a penny stocks opportunity with what we call a stock string. The most famous one being the $20, $50 blueprints, different variations. The way those work, I think, and it kind of goes back, I think like Addison Wiggin wrote one of the first penny stock promos like this. I don't know when that was, probably like the 90s. Yeah, I don't know when. Mid-90s or something. So the idea of like penny stocks is really appealing to people if you can take them and like set up scenarios where if you double your money and then take your money off the table and put another penny stock, double your money and then take it off the table and then just do that over and over again, that you can really compound your results. And we did that successfully in the past, kind of, I think it was originally like the secret $200 retirement blueprint. And then we did it with marijuana penny stocks. Then we did it also with like penny cryptos. So if you guys can figure out what the next big thing is, yeah, that might be an opportunity there. So that's kind of like a secret, because you don't really explain the lead, like how it works, but then it's pretty explicit, like what it is. It just, these things are hot. There's penny stock so you can get into in this area, and you can keep flipping your winnings and turn $20 into $1 million in a year, which is pretty exciting to people.
Two really quick things on that. So just to define stock string, it's where you're starting with a little bit of money and you're stringing gains together. So you typically have a 3 to 5 to 6 part string of gains where you're starting with a little bit of money, like $20, $50, $200, and you're ending up with north of $1 million in those 5 or 6 strings. And legal's going to make you put something in there that says, could you expect to see this? Hell no. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. But what you're about to see really happened, and I'm going to show it to you right now, right? Everybody understand what a stock string is, why we say that string gains together? Second kind of interesting thing about that is Rob, that guy that came in, that you organized to come in. Tell me his name again. Rich. You remember a couple weeks ago, right? Rob brought Rich in. He was our avatar, our Grandpa Kurt. I'm not sure how many of you guys caught this, but when Rich was talking, he said the exact idea of a stock string. I'm not sure if you caught it. He said something like, somebody asked him what he was looking for in an investment or something. He said, I'm looking to take a little bit of money, cash out of my initial winnings, put that money back in my pocket. And he almost said, now I'm playing with house money, and then I can roll the gains together.
Yeah.
He literally said the idea of a stock string right in front of us. So if you're able to regurgitate that back to Grandpa Kurt in a new, interesting mechanism, do it with pot stocks, do it with penny stocks. Like penny stocks were new, but they're not anymore. Do it with cryptos, do it with blockchain. If you take a new mechanism and regurgitate exactly what he said he wanted in a believable way, that's not a hard package to write, and it's been proven to bring in hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
Last category for front-end financial promo archetypes is free book offers, which are relatively easy to write because if you have the right kind of book. And that right kind of book I mean is the book itself needs to have a big idea inside of it. So Jim Rickards had one when gold started getting hot again a couple of years ago called like the new case for gold. And that was like the big idea that like gold's coming back. Like that was the right big idea. That was in the book. It also helps the book as like a how-to kind of book, meaning you can have lots of bullets you pull out of it. So if it's just very abstract information or someone's just autobiography or something like that, those are really hard to like turn into book promos. You got ones where the chapters literally are how to do this or the 3 steps to do this, because that's where you're going to get the bullets you pull out. Because a lot of those book offers are mostly bullet driven, meaning there's a lead about the big idea of the book. You're making it pretty clear they're getting a free book. Here's why I need the book. Here's 50 reasons, which are like the 50 bullets in there. Those, I think, work well because I think it's a very low-risk proposition on the front end for somebody new. People buy books online all the time. My grandparents who in their late 80s have a Kindle. I mean, people buy stuff online all the time. They know what an ebook is. They know what a physical book sounds really safe because I'm sending you $5 and I know that a hardcover costs me $20, so I'm already coming out ahead. So those work well if you have the right book.
2 things on that. The best book offers are books that we create, books that we write, because that gives us a lot of flexibility as marketers and publishers and copywriters to write the bullets that we want to sell the book. Does that make sense? One of the worst projects I ever took on, this is one of those things that like, oh God, lesson learned. Doug Hill gave me this, no one else wanted to write this package, and I think he had ordered like 5,000 of these Medicare books. Do you remember this, Judd? It was probably, God damn, it was terrible. Yeah. Doug ordered like 5,000 of these fucking Medicare books, and they were called like How to Maximize Your Medicare or something like that. And then the copywriter that he had assigned to that, I think dropped out. I think it was a freelance copywriter that dropped out. So now we had 5,000 books that we had paid $10 a piece for. So we got $50,000 of books in a warehouse somewhere. I felt bad for Doug, so I'm like, I'm going to write that package. And now I had to take someone else's book, which was the world's worst book, and try to read this book, and then try to write bullets about secrets that are opportunities that were in the book. There were fucking no opportunities in that book. It was like the world's worst Medicare book, and I tried to write this package, and it was just horrifically bad. Maybe a brilliant copywriter may have made that package work. I couldn't make that package work because the book that I was starting with was shit. So the best book offers are typically books that we would create together. Matt's doing it right now with the income launch around Nihilist Motive, where he is coming up with a book that we're going to put around Nihilist with some of Nihilist's secrets about how to live, a healthy, longer retirement through generating more income. But it's a book that we're creating that therefore Matt can write good bullets around versus a book that we have to adapt off the shelf that we have to try to turn into fascinating bullets, which is really hard. So just think about that. The best book offers that we have are typically books that we create as a team together.
Okay, switching over to the back end now. This archetype has a lot of positives and negatives, but we call it the single stock tease. Nowadays, you might call it a single investment tease. It doesn't necessarily have to be a stock with a wow story. Or I think originally I had like a holy shit story. If you could find a stock out there that just has like an amazing story, you can build your entire promotion just around that one opportunity, that one investment. So you can find one cryptocurrency out there that just has an incredible story with a big idea that you can find attached to it, then you can make that. And that, the there's risks on that. We just did that for Altucher, and it was for some sort of men's health issue promotion, and it was all built around dick pills, basically, right? But built around one particular date when the FDA was going to approve it. Well, then the FDA didn't approve it, so that was a big risk on that. So, but the advantage in writing a single stock tease or a single investment tease is that your research is really easy because all your research is basically just building the case for that one particular opportunity, if that makes sense. So,
and let me just tell you guys why Ryan's got them organized like this. Because, again, certain opportunities belong on the back end and certain opportunities belong on the front end. Why does a free book offer not belong on the back end? What's that?
Is it making money?
Yeah, yeah. It's tough to say, here's a $20 book that you have to pay me $3,000 for, right? So free book offers normally don't belong on the back end. Single stock stories normally don't belong on the front end. Anybody know why?
No trust.
Yeah.
it's kind of a practical publishing.
Yeah.
behind it.
Okay. So idea of a front end is to bring in thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of customers, right? If you're teasing a tiny $1 stock and you're bringing in thousands of customers a day, that tiny $1 stock will no longer be a tiny $1 stock because there's going to be thousands of new people flooding in to buy the stock. The stock's going to go up to $10 or $15 and you're going to have to stop running the promotion. So that's why certain opportunities, just to make this clear, are better on the front end. Other opportunities are better on the back end. I've seen the mistake of people trying to write single stock stories on the front end, which may be successful promotions for a couple days, and then you got to stop running them because you're blowing up the stock. So it's just a practical application. That's where, again, when you have an idea, you pitch the publisher, they should be able to tell you, like Aaron should be able to tell you, hey, we can't write that single stock story on the front end. Could write it on the back end. So just to put this into categories, I feel like we're losing you guys, so we're going to have to speed up. It's really hot in here, and I'm seeing people doze off. Free book offers front end, single stock stories back end. There's a reason why most of these things are in these categories, front ends and back ends. We're going to go fast.
Yeah, systems we talked about before. People want to believe in systems. Just give them the system and they can beat the markets. Number 3 in the back end, a direct, audacious promise with the stock string, which is similar to the penny stock one that we talked about on the front end. You can see some examples there of what I'm talking about. Marijuana Millionaires being the most recent example of that. It's very similar to the idea in the front end, but you're making a lot more audacious promise. As opposed to getting rich, turning $20 to $1 million in a year, you're talking like 30 days. So
that's one of the rare ones that could work on both the front end and back end. Stock strings work both ways.
A lot more aggressive promise, though, on the back end of it. Number 4 is a guru story, an insider confession. We haven't seen a lot of those recently. They used to be a lot more popular in the past. They kind of live it like the lazy man's way to riches. Like the Insider Code is my famous one, my favorite one. And Joe wrote one. I don't know when that was. That was kind of similar to that. The Gets Past the Millionaires Market.
It was like 2008.
Yeah.
Early 2008.
That could be powerful. I mean, I could see someone like Jim Rickards. You really need someone with a great story that really did it, which means you get the right guru for it. Last would be a short-term money-making catalyst event technology. Oftentimes we do these with like a live event, like a live event where we just, like we did one a couple weeks ago with James Altucher where Doug did a Q&A because Bitcoin just hit $20,000 a coin and people are very excited about it. So that's less copy. It's more like the concept of it because we tend not to even script those. We're more just like talking points. So those are the 5. I mean, the big point on that is like make sure your idea is attached to the right place. Okay, so if you're thinking of a prediction idea, that's your big idea to pitch on Friday. Don't pitch that to the back end. Okay. So,
do you mind if I sum up? Okay. So tons of theory, right? Tons of theory, tons of actual execution. If I had to summarize. Is that a new phrase? Sum up. If I had to summarize today's session in 2 lessons that you should take away. Number 1, and I probably mentioned this, is who watches Shark Tank? Everybody at least seen an episode of Shark Tank. Who knows on Shark Tank? Keep your hands raised. Who watches Shark Tank? Okay. Of the people who have their hands raised, who knows who Mr. Wonderful is? Okay, everybody. Okay, so you guys know, and I've told you this before, that Mr. Wonderful sees a pitch in front of him from an entrepreneur, and what he always says is, how do I make money from this? How do I, as an investor, this is what Mr. Wonderful's saying, make money from this? So if your number one lesson that you're taking away from today is make sure that you channel your inner Mr. Wonderfuls or Mr. Wonder Womans and think, how does the reader make money from this? What is the opportunity for the reader? If you can't answer that question, either ditch the idea or keep reworking the idea until you find the opportunity. Number two is just what Ryan said. When you have the opportunity, make sure that it fits with a product that's in the category that you're trying to sell in front end or back end based on how you want that idea. So if that is the, I'm doing your work for you because about 2 seconds we're going to ask you what you learned, but I'm trying to do your work for you. Those are the 2 things that I would take away. Number 1, channel your innermost wonderfuls. God damn, I can't talk. It's getting late. You know what I'm saying though. Think about it. How do I make money from this opportunity? And make sure it's in the right category, attached to the right opportunity.
All right, so next session is actually Friday, 8 o'clock here in this room, pitch day. You have 120 seconds. As Joe said before,
I'm sorry.
Ignore that.
It says 7 minutes in your copy doc, but you don't have 7 minutes.
120 seconds.
I have 120 seconds.
That's when there was like going to be like 5 people in this class.
Yeah. Yeah, you have 120 seconds. So it's not dissimilar to what you guys just did a couple weeks ago when you pitched the research documents. What is dissimilar is that you're going to do it individually now, and you're going to do it on your own idea. So obviously we're not giving you the research docs this time. Ryan's not giving you the research docs, and you're not doing it in tandem. You're doing it individually. You got 120 seconds to pitch that idea.
Like Joe said before, if the first time you're giving your pitch is this Friday, that's a big mistake. Other people should hear it first. The session after that on Monday is going to be about the weapons of influence. So I'm going to actually email you a promotion called beta testers from back in the day. And I want you, when you get that promotion, to circle all the emotional hot buttons that you think are being pushed in that promotion, especially ones that relate to like influence. If you've read that book by Cialdini. And I'm also going to send you something I want you to listen to, an audio book called the 1 Sentence Persuasion Course. So I'll email you those links later today. All right. So who learned?
Can I do one more thing? Okay, so let's just recap that. Homework for next time. Number 1, we're going to meet Friday. So write up and practice your pitches to give it pitch day. You have 120 seconds.
Are you going to tell us when we're supposed to be here? Or we just all come at the same time?
Oh, everybody's coming at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's listening to everybody else's idea.
I got you.
Yeah. So everybody's 8 o'clock on Friday.
Gotcha.
8 o'clock Friday. We're all going to rotate through just like we did last time, right? You can choose to go whenever you want to go, right?
Ryan said 8:30. You said 8 o'clock.
Oh,
just making sure
it's 8. Sorry. It's 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So homework number 1: write up, practice your pitches. Come on Friday at 8 o'clock, ready to give a 120-second pitch. Number 2, homework. Ryan's going to send you a promo called Beta Testers. Circle all the emotional buttons before next session. Number 3, Ryan's going to send you something called the 1 Sentence Persuasion Course. Read it before, let's say, Monday.
And listen to it. It's audio.
Listen to it before Monday. And I'm going to add one more thing. You guys are going to fucking love this. You're going to fucking love this. Next Monday, we're going to begin where everybody can come up to the front of the room. You close your eyes and you repeat the 1 sentence persuasion. It's 27 words. 27 words is the 1 sentence persuasion. So one by one, you come up, like it. You close your eyes and you repeat that sentence. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. There will be hell to pay if you fuck it up. So you stand up here and you close your eyes and you say something like, people will do anything for those that, and then you could fill in the rest of the blank, which that is the 1 sentence persuasion. You could look it up online, repeat it, make it your mantra. Everybody one by one, stand up here, close your eyes is optional. You got to repeat that 1 sentence persuasion course. Don't fuck it up. Okay, that's Monday. That's Monday. All right. So you can get through pitch week, right? You get through Friday, and then you spend all weekend memorizing that 27-word phrase. It's really easy.
Smart to remember.
What's that? Can I do it?
Hey, don't spoil it.
Should I try?
Well, he was afraid you'll spoil it.
I haven't read that book.
Yeah.
We'll do it. While you talk, I'm gonna see if I can do it in my head. I'm gonna see.
All right.
I'm gonna screw up a certain.
Okay. You just tell me when you're ready to go. Who learned something today? Rob.
Click here now.
Don't forget that one. What are you gonna do to change your life on that? Yeah. All right. Who else learned something? Fred.
Baked opportunity in your big idea.
What's that?
Baked opportunity. This concept of
Big
renewal.
opportunity into your big idea. Okay. Yeah.
Just not forget it.
All right. Who else learned something?
Always be pitching.
Always be pitching. Okay. So how are you gonna use that one?
Well, I got a couple ideas. I'm just gonna pitch them.
Yeah. You might like make a goal or something to pitch a certain amount of ideas per week or things like that too.
Yeah, I'm hoping like an idea a day.
Okay.
Can I throw something on your
Yeah.
back end, front end thing?
Yeah.
Because it's something that comes up all the time.
Yeah.
I think that another thing that helps picture what idea goes on which side, which for a front end product or back end product. The front end, the job of the front end is to create and build a relationship that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And the job on the back end is to deliver on that relationship that already does exist. So the reason why some promotions work on one side and not the other is because if you don't have a relationship already, you can't just act like you have one. And if you already have a relationship, you can't act like it doesn't exist. So that's why it's divided.
I'm close. I can't do it, but I'm close. You guys want to see me attempt? Or am I gonna ruin it?
I don't even ruin it.
My kids have to memorize a poem in French a week and recite it in front of the classroom.
Oh, I can do that.
So you're saying the copycat's easier than?
Well, it is for me. I've been in France for years and I still don't speak it.
All right. One last person to learn something today.
Kyle, you gotta speak up. You look really sad and grumpy.
Having a great
It's one thing.
What did I learn today?
Yeah.
It's all my notes.
It's sober memorable.
Social changing words.
Just say whatever comes to mind. Like what stands out in your head right now?
I've had to pee for like 30 minutes. That's like all I can think about.
That's your sad and grumpy.
Yeah.
So go to the bathroom before.
Yeah. My first note I saw was never publish a lift out of call to action. It's the first note that stuck out to me. Easy to read is hard to write, which is something I was trying to explain to like someone who didn't understand copywriting. I was like, this is what I do. Here's my promotions. And I was like, the hardest part of the job is making you think I could write that.
Yeah.
You should also know that no matter how long you do this and explain what you do to your family members, they will never.
Yeah.
I constantly get people I've known for like 10, 15 years. Say, you're a copy editor, right? I'm like, no.
And then when you finally succeed and your package works and you get royalties, they think you're a drug dealer. Because they still don't understand what you do, but they know you have money now.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
So you say don't.
Just torture Kyle by not letting him go to the bathroom and keep asking.
I told myself 10 minutes and 9:30.
So don't categorize your stuff, right? But then at the same time, when you look at like penny stocks or like the blueprints, doesn't that kind of come to mind to people? Like we explicitly say the penny marijuana blueprint, right? So
you can use categories to your advantage. The idea is not to use categories, just to be aware of the categories. That's a key point. And if that wasn't clear, it should be clear that like some categories are good. Like penny stocks, there's a lot of that's the interesting thing too. Is you'll say penny stock to an editor and they'll flip out. They're like, oh, I don't recommend penny stocks because they think penny stocks are shady little tiny companies that fly by night operations. Well, really, like, what is a penny stock? A small cap stock that could be up to like, if you do it, frame it right, up to like $500 million company could be considered a penny stock.
Right.
That's technically a small cap stock if that's what you're saying what it is. So, like when Bitcoin was hot, that's a category. Well, you want to say if it's Bitcoin related. In fact, I noticed in my Lyft notes when I was doing the launch for the UltraShirt promotion that the ones that said Bitcoin had better click-through rate than the ones that said cryptocurrency. So I stopped just saying cryptocurrency because I don't think people even knew what cryptocurrency was. They just knew Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So the idea is not to not use categories, it's just to use them effectively. And that people have preconceived notions, either positive or negative, about a certain category.
Okay, guys. Everybody, cool. Friday, 8 o'clock. 120-second pitches. Monday, Memorize 27 word, one sentence persuasion. Be ready to recite it.
Oh yeah, phones.